All right. Welcome back to the Real Estate Locker Room Show, folks. I'm your host, John Carney, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to tune into the podcast. All you return listeners, you know it. I say it every time. I am truly grateful for your active participation and downloads and the feedback I get from you. It really does keep me going. And, we've got a lot of great guests, not only in the past, but today and into the future lined up for you. So we're all about learning something new that we can apply to our real estate career today. If this is your first time tuning into the show, welcome. We got an epic show lined up for you today with Jens Nielsen from Durango, Colorado. We're going to be talking about Open Door Capital. But just so you know, the goal of this show is to deliver you something actionable that you can apply to your life and to your real estate investing, whether it's a career or whether you're looking to get started. You're going to learn something that you can apply today. So here's the show that believes that real estate is a team sport. Today is episode number 94. Once again with my guest, Jens Nielsen, and we're going to talk about Open Door Capital. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, John. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you today. It's going to be fun.
No, this is great. I love it. So, the intersection of athletics and real estate or competitive sports and competitive business, however you want to look at it, there's definitely a comparison that I like to explore. Not everyone's was or is an athlete, but, do you have a favorite athlete or a sport you participate in today that kind of helps you stay focused on your real estate business? Or
That's an awesome question, right? Because this is like the first time I've had anybody kind of draw a connection between the two. But I have been a cyclist for many years. Actually, I raced professionally on mountain bikes, on a bunch of road races. So really raced 24-hour races, 12 hours, 100 miles. So really done a lot of long, hard endurance events. And it's always like, if you can push your body for that many hours and kind of persevere through that, anything you do in business and other things sometimes become trivial because physically you don't usually hurt, right? It's just a mental game, right? So I think that building that strength through all those hours on the bike has really helped me a lot in my real estate business.
Well, that's super cool. I mean, is there one of your longer hour or longer distance events that really sticks in your mind is like the worst? Is it the worst pain and then the worst, best finish? Or talk?
I mean, I like those kind of the longer endurance stuff. So, for example, here just to the west of us in southwestern Colorado, they had this 12-hour race, just do laps around this course. And I did that solo quite a few times. And if you're ridden 12 hours straight on a pretty rough course, you're pretty broken down by the end of it. And just pushing through it, right? Because I think in life, anything you do is just pushing through it, just keep on going even though things hurt. And just being able to go through that has been an amazing learning experience for me. And I'm obviously older now, but I still like to go out there and push myself too.
Is there what drew you to that as a kid, or is it like, was it a family sport, or did you have an older brother or a friend? Like, how'd you get into it?
It's funny, right? So I grew up in Denmark, and everybody rides their bikes everywhere, right? Just for transportation. But I wasn't really much of an athlete until I moved to the U.S. In the mid-late 90s. That's when I kind of got into it. So I grew up trying a bunch of different sports, but none of them really stuck. It wasn't until I really discovered cycling in my early 20s that I was like, oh, this is the one thing I want to do, right? So it was kind of a late start.
But being in Colorado, so you have both disciplines. I'll get off this, guys, because I've been a mountain biker. I'm good at crashing on mountain bikes and going fast downhill. I like those two things, but like on the road too. So, I mean, do you kind of do both road and mountains, or road and trail?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Done the Iron Horse road race from Durango to Silverton quite a few times, go over 2 passes that are over 10,000 feet. So I've done that. You mentioned Crescent Butte earlier. I've basement, bike up there to high elevation. So done it all pretty much all throughout the country.
Jen is in good shape. And now well, talk to us about what you do when you're not riding your bike in order to kind of to live that dream. We gotta come up with something to do.
That's right.
Right. So,
yeah, I wish I could be paid for the cycling career, but that's over. So yes, I'm a multifamily real estate investor. Kind of have my portfolio, kind of value-added investing in that BC space, class space, and I have a portfolio down in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Actually, got 65 doors down there. Kind of some are just me and my wife has bought those, and then we have a few joint venture deals there. I got a small mobile home park here in southwestern Colorado as well. And then we've done some syndications, and I know you're in Cleveland, Ohio now. We actually have done one in Erie, Pennsylvania, which is just kind of up the lake from you, right?
not too far away.
That's right. So we've been up there. I have a partner there. We did one deal last year. We're working on another syndication right now. So, basically just getting out of the corporate world. I still have a W-2 job. I am looking to exit it later this summer, but you're just trying to balance both. Exactly.
So with Open Door Capital, could you kind of, tell the listeners the story of how that got started and sort of what you offer?
Yes, Open Doors, and actually there's an S, so it's Open Doors with an S on. So Open Doors Capital is my investment company, and I started out by just doing my own deals because I wanted to understand what I was doing, learn from it, and not risk anybody else's capital, right? And this is I grew and started to learn the business. I started, it's basically a syndication company, right? We syndicate large apartment complexes, and we have a general partnership team, and then we have limited partners who come in, and people that want to get into real estate but don't want to be active. So we partner with investors that way, and buy these class B, class C multifamily properties, improve them, raise the rents, and try to return give a good return to our investors. That's pretty much our goal, right?
Awesome. So you've just mentioned two markets. Erie, Pennsylvania. I've been through there more. I've been through there recently. It's on the way. We took the kids to Niagara Falls. So,
oh yeah.
And Lake Erie seems bluer in Erie than it does in Cleveland. But that we were just there last summer. But anyways, and then New Mexico. So you're able to be in multiple markets around the United States. Are you looking to expand in either one, or are you just looking for the best opportunities for your group?
Yeah, so it's interesting, right? So the stuff in Albuquerque has been basically just our own portfolio. We haven't syndicated there because I haven't found deals that made sense in that larger size. And then the Erie, we've done a deal in Phoenix too. Did a 236 unit in Phoenix last September, and we've done one in Atlanta last year, and then the Erie stuff. So the Erie deal is interesting. It's basically because I ended up partnering with a guy who lives there, has been here for many years, that built a portfolio, and I was able to come from the outside and bring in like a new set of eyes to that business. And I was like, hey, here's some areas I can help you guys to be more effective and bring some investors from out of your local area and everything. So it was just kind of a chance encounter at an event, and we just kind of think, hey, we can partner and help each other. So that was basically the way it happened, and that's what we're working on right now. Obviously, the area is not going to be a market we can buy dozens of deals because it's a small market. So we will be expanding. We actually have considered Cleveland a little bit, or other places in Ohio, and so that's kind of where I think we're going next.
Yeah, multifamily is highly competitive, but I want to circle back to a couple of things you just said. You met at an event. Was it a real estate specific conference?
Yep, it was. And one of the things I've learned, so I sit here in a small town in southwestern Colorado, and we can't really operate in isolation. So we have to go out there and meet people. So I love to go to events. I try to go, 4 or 5 times a year. Obviously, it hasn't been possible lately, but and that just grows my business, it grows my network, and it's just an awesome way to connect with people. I think that's really one of the things I've learned that in multifamily space, people are really sharing, want to learn, want to, work together for everybody's benefit. So that's what I've really.
No, I agree. While it is competitive, that's just getting the deal. I guess once you're in the area and you get to meet the other people, you're competing for, I guess, leases and tenants, but you bring your own secret sauce to your portfolio. But I would say, yeah, I mean, by chance you were at a real estate event with another like-minded person. I think that's why it's so important that people get out there and go to events. And every time I've been to any type of business or networking event, you come away with at least 2 or 3 meaningful conversations, and you can connect on LinkedIn or whatever other social channels you choose, and then you're just building your network that way. And it's not something we always discuss on this show, but it's almost real estate 101, and I'm happy you brought it up, because I would say that your deal in Indy, there was a lot of steps that happened before to lead to that success. And success leaves clues, I suppose. That's
right.
It's a line I'm fond of. I didn't invent it.
Tony Robbins did.
But I've definitely heard it from a lot of people, and that's kind of one of the great things about having these conversations. So if you're sitting at home like Jens is, or you're not far from home like I am during this May 2020 lockdown, and you probably are missing out on some events you had on your calendar, but when you feel comfortable, that everyone's going to be getting out there and interacting again soon, hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's pretty cool. So you've got some bigger syndication deals in other markets. Like what do you think's back again. Sorry guys. You went into Erie with a different experience and a different set of eyes, which I always think is great. I think you get the term, I believe, is anchoring. Like you see something all the time, and it might be new to you the first time you see it, but if you see it over and over again, it just becomes commonplace. That's just how our brains work. But
sure.
You came in a partnership, if I understand correctly, and you saw some things differently, and you were able to add value. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think that team had done syndication early before I got involved, and they were just really focusing on getting investors from their local market, and they were successful in that. But I also saw that, okay, we can introduce some technologies. We can get an investor portal set up. We can expand, really talk to people outside that market and bring some more investors in, because you're going to tap out if you're just focusing on your local group, right? So I was able to bring some investors in and kind of just talk about from an outside. I said, hey, this is an amazing cash flow market, right? It's not going to appreciate very quickly, but at least the cash flow is great. So I'm really focused on, making, this round we're working on now, we're doing all the signatures electronically. Everybody's signing up for the portal to do all that. So worked on that. Then it helped a bunch with the underwriting. Again, that's something I can do remotely. If I have the numbers, I can put all the numbers together and create that compelling story why it makes sense to invest in a certain property, So some of those things, giving my IT background, that has been quite helpful, managing the webinar, the initial investor webinar, and just doing some of that back end support that I think has really helped with the project and moving forward.
So if you're if we have someone listening to this, or you're going out through your own channels to attract people that talk a little bit about syndication, because new listeners might not know exactly what we're talking about. So you can just give the highlights, but talk about, you mentioned earlier, you got into this with you and your wife got into your own deal. You probably learned a few things the hard way, but that allows you at least to go out and start asking other people to trust you. I would imagine that's the way that honorable people operate in this business. But yeah, just talk a little bit about the syndication process. And, if someone wants to be, someone in Durango or Southwest Colorado wants to get into multifamily, and there's not a ton of it in that part of the world, how do I do it?
Yeah, I mean, syndication is essentially the idea that you take a large and you can do anything, but apartment complex is what we focus on. So let's say it's 200 units. If I were to buy 200 units, that would require a lot of cash from me that I don't have. So what you do, you create a partnership where you have what's called the general partners. Those are the people that put the deal together. So find the deals, underwrite it, work with the brokers, work with the lenders, and get it under contract and ready to go. And then you have a large group of limited partners, which are essentially the people that bring the equity, the down payment to that deal, so we can close it. And you then have some sort of split. Maybe the limited partner owns 75% of the deal, and the general partner owns 25. Or they can be split in many, many different ways, and we don't want to go into that. But the essential thing is that the limited partners trust the general partners to operate this purchase, this apartment building, in the best interest of everybody involved, right? With the idea of creating profit and paying out, monthly or quarterly cash flow. And then there's some hold 5-10 year hold time after which you sell the property and just distribute the profits to everybody involved, right? So it's a great way for somebody who has a good job, they have some money sitting around, and they want to get into real estate, but they don't want to go and do the toilet tenants and trash thing. They don't want to go and do it themselves, so they can invest there and they still get all the tax benefits of depreciation and deductions and everything else. So it's a great model, and I personally invested in like 14 different, it's actually maybe getting close to 16 different deals myself, because I realized as a passive investor, I realized the benefits of that. So it's, depends on how much you trust the stock market too, right? You want to get your money away from there, then real estate may be a good option as well.
I don't know. I don't know many real estate people that operate at the general partner level and in the multifamily space specifically that are huge fans of the stock market. And it's not that there's anything wrong, in my opinion, with the stock market, other than it's a different discipline. And if you're good at it, meaning that's what you wake up to and you go to bed to and you check in the middle of the night, you probably understand trends, and you probably are subscribed to the right podcasts and learning the right things, and you have your group of mentors so that you see things coming and you're able to, react. Where if you're just, the average guy who's hearing about Apple from his taxi driver, decides to go invest in that, and then you forget to check it, during bad times, all of a sudden your money's gone. I don't know. I think that you got it. I don't know anyone that's really exceptional at both, but I'm sure there's lots of people out there that do both. But
yeah,
multifamily is definitely where I put my time and energy, and for all the reasons you thought about. So like in the getting in, how many years have you been doing this?
It's not that long. It's coming up like 5 years. Just kind of quickly ramping up by buying some smaller deals myself. So and then kind of early on deciding that the syndication path is one I want to get down, or that path I want to head down towards. So just started surrounding myself with the right people and getting the right education and everything else. So it's and once I decide on something, I usually push pretty hard towards it. So that's
right.
So that's my nature.
It's an endurance event. There's no finish line in the multifamily.
That is true. Yeah.
People keep moving in and moving out in perpetuity. So like, what's the what if you talk about your last 5 years specifically, kind of getting into apartments? What would you say your favorite thing about this industry is compared to, I don't know?
Well, so it's kind of two aspects to it. I mean, once you can go there and add value and improve and increase the property's value by doing upgrades to units, right? So you buy something that needs some work, you start fixing up the units, you raise the rent, and over time the value, because multifamily is based upon the net operating income. So if you can increase that income, you can increase the value of it. So you have a very direct role or influence on the value of that property. So I think that's really awesome, and it's nice to take something that needs a little bit of work, fix it up, and you have a nice property and your tenants like it and stuff like that. So I enjoy that. The other aspect, well, then if you get it up and running, you're a property manager, you get, kind of passive cash flow, if you will, right? And you don't necessarily have to be there every day. And I think the other aspect I really like is the getting to meet people, like yourself, like my partner in Erie, that are really just passionate about it, are willing to share, just working towards similar goals, right? And I always equate this. I used to, since being in IT, I used to go to IT conference. I was like, man, excuse me, I don't want to spend any time with these people because they're all nerds. I don't have anything in common with them. Now I go to a real estate conference and I just love hanging out with people, learning from them, talking to them, and just figuring out what can we do together, how can we grow this, right? So that's that difference between an employee mindset and an entrepreneurial mindset, I think. So that was a long-winded answer, but I thought it makes sense. So
No, it's good. I mean, I think it's a social business. It's a team sport. I mean, it's kind of there's always a challenge. You kind of start working for yourself, and there's probably a different sort of pressure that's hard to explain if you still have another source of income. But I like that pressure. Yeah, I'm sure you and it probably comes along with long endurance races. But let me just kind of switch gears here and kind of get into the business side and in the professional entrepreneurial side of the show. Is there are you a big reader? Is there I ask everybody if there's a book that they recommend everyone put on their bookshelf.
Yes, I am an avid reader, and every time I read something, I'm like, oh, this is my most recent favorite book, right? I think if you are trying to create a business, if you wanted to operate a business that you over time doesn't have to rely on you, I would definitely look at the E-Myth by Michael Gerber. Basically the idea of the entrepreneurial myth and the things you need to put in place so the business is not dependent on you, the business is dependent on systems and on people. So that's really one I really recommend everybody read if they want to build a business. The E-Myth.
Is it as easy to implement it as it is to read about?
Not necessarily. But I think we often spend a lot of time building something until we realize, oh my God, what I've just done, I cannot get out of it again, right? I mean, everything is just dependent on an individual, and that's not the greatest situation to be in. So.
No, I agree. That's cool. Thanks for sharing that. And, is there something like do you have a habit or a daily practice that you feel over time has undoubtedly attributed to, being a more successful, athlete, bike rider, and, businessman?
So the business side there, basically getting up at 5 a.m. and spending the first hour and a half just focusing on, I'll do some yoga or stretching. I will do some journaling. I'll look at my goals, and then I'll either read something, or right now I'm writing a bunch of content from my website. So basically just spend some time doing stuff that's going to move your business forward versus reacting, right? So just that time in the morning that some people use the miracle morning. I use more like my own adaptation of that, but just focus on it every day. That's definitely been a key thing. Then for my cycling, well, that's been hours and hours and hours of training, right? I do still go out, during the lunch hour or on the weekends most weeks. I mean, most days, because that's such a big part of my life too, right?
Do you have an event on the calendar that you're hoping still moves ahead?
Yeah, we were supposed to have this race in the end of May from Durango. That's canceled. Next one is middle of July up in Utah, like a very long, kind of gravel off-road race. I don't know. It's 50-50 right now. I guess if that's going to carry forward or not. So this year may be a wash. I don't know. But that's okay. I mean, I've done so many races that I don't have a whole lot more to prove, I guess. So.
I had something on my calendar for the end of May that's been pushed to the end of July. Mm-hmm. So I've scaled back. It's an obstacle race, and I've scaled back on the distances to kind of maintain something, which is nice. But I don't know. It's sort of what I like to consider my annual fitness test. It's in the same type of venue in Ohio every year at the same time, and it kind of gives you a baseline.
Yeah.
But yeah, you got to kind of keep moving through this lockdown, and it's amazing who's out and about these days, at least in our neighborhood. So it's good to see everyone getting outside here in Ohio. I know in Colorado, people live outside anyways.
Yeah, but since the gyms and other places are closed, you see more people on the trails that you normally would, right? So I try to kind of find times of the day where it's not too busy. So.
It's been a long time since I've been down to Durango. Like, what's the population down there?
It's small, like 20,000 people or something. So
it is small. I mean, Eagle
yeah.
County is a pretty big county, and it's like 50,000 people, I think. But that seems to be growing. Well, cool. One last question: like, if somebody's out there and they're sitting on the sidelines and they want to get into this, they're looking for a place to start. Let's start with Jens. How are they going to get a hold of you, and what's the next step to learning more about multifamily syndication?
Yeah, so I mean, the other thing I didn't mention, I do some coaching too. So I take new investors that want to get into buying their own properties or syndicate. I help them just get over their own limiting beliefs, setting goals, and working with them, right? So that's the other kind of things that I'm passionate about these days. So I like to, so people can reach out to me, and my email is Jens, Jens, at opendoors with an S capital.com, opendoorscapital.com. And if anybody wants to get on a free strategy call with me, talk about investing, talk about coaching, they can go to opendoorscapital.com/call and schedule a free call with me. So that's something I've done hundreds of calls. I really like to connect with people throughout the country and the world, just talk about real estate.
Perfect. What's your preferred social media place to interact with people in the real estate?
Yeah, probably LinkedIn. I think that seems a little bit more professional than, Facebook is awesome, but it's just easy to fall into the rabbit hole there. So I really prefer LinkedIn. They can look me up there. It's like Jens Nielsen, multifamily real estate coach or something. I think I show up as. So.
If you want to become an infectious diseases expert, go to Facebook. If you want to learn about real estate and business, go to LinkedIn.
That's right.
What it seems like these days.
Yeah, everybody is an expert today in something, right?
Absolutely. Well, there you have it, folks. I really, truly hope you picked up some actionable advice today from Jens, and thanks for sharing the Open Door Capital story. It's going to be maybe we'll bump into each other at an event one of these days. But what was I going to say? For everybody out there listening, make sure to check out, the Real Estate Locker Room Show on iTunes. We're on Stitcher, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify, all those spots. And if you like what this show's about, I'd be grateful if you'd leave us a review. That's sort of the online currency that helps other like-minded real estate people, connect with us. This conversation here with Jens will be episode 94, and you'll be able to find that at johncarneyonline.com/podcast. And we'll have the show notes there and the post-game report and links to where you can hook up with Jens on LinkedIn and, through his Open Doors platform. Remember, folks, to stay focused and have fun. And until next time, my name is John Carney. And thanks again, Jens, for taking the time out of your busy day, to share your success story here on the Real Estate Locker Room Show.
Thanks, Don. It was a lot of fun. I appreciate your time.
Cool. Thank you. Hey, what was I going to do?